Hello, everyone. Welcome to Take 5. I hope you had a good weekend. We are concluding our 5 times in the book of Job, where we did 5 sessions for 5 minutes, completely solving all of the issues and problems of pain and suffering unjustly. And yeah. Job's a good book, though, isn't it? I hope you've been reading it. Again, no formulas or platitudes, but a story about pain and a story about faith and a story about the sovereignty of God, and that He is more than in control. He's orchestrating life for good purposes, and ours too. And so as we come to the conclusion of this book, I thought, let me just give lessons to learn, 3 of them, or at least in 3 areas that you can think about, and then we'll talk about at another time, I guess. Boy, preparing for these got me wanting to teach through the book of Job again. It's been many, many years, but I've been tearing it apart again for you, for this, and it's really wanted me to go more in depth. Actually, Mark Pennell and I, we do Fresh Take, which is a longer podcast, and I think I want to take some of this and go deeper into wisdom, and especially the book of Job. Okay, lessons to learn, 3 of them as we conclude the book of Job, right? Lessons to learn, first of all, about life, then about faith, and then about God. Ready? This has to do with pain and suffering, right? So lessons about life, first of all. Pain and suffering in life are inevitable. It's not if, it's when. They're inevitable. They're coming. You know that. Hospice centers and hospitals and nursing homes are testimony, but you don't have to be old. They're inevitable. They're not necessarily the result of personal sin, and they're not neatly explainable or understandable, but pain and suffering in this life is pretty much inevitable. And so secondly, at least from our vantage point, life does not always seem very fair. It didn't to Job, and it doesn't maybe to you. Why does the one guy who has been very, very careful, maybe he was even vaccinated, and somehow he gets COVID, and the other one living without a vaccine thinks it's a hoax or whatever, he's fine. It doesn't seem fair, but life's not always fair. Thirdly, this life must be seen with an eternal perspective. Job gets there. I know my Redeemer lives, and in the end I will see him. It's in many ways, it's the hope of the resurrection of Christ. That's our ultimate perspective. We've got to live for that, ultimately. So, that's about life. Here's some lessons about faith. And let me start with a question, because this is the question of Job. Is your faith in God a matter of conscience or of convenience? That's what the suffering of Job is all about. Remember, at the very beginning, God said to Satan, look at my man Job, man. He's so faithful and so godly. And Satan pretty much says, it's just convenient for him. Take all of the good stuff away from him, and let's see if his faith is really a matter of conscience. And so I ask you that. Think about this. God is more interested in your faith than in your pleasure. Lesson about faith. Secondly, the only kind of faith which will stand up to the pain and the problems of life are the ones that are based on the person of God, not just his actions. That's the book of Job as well. It's easy in a sense to have faith in God when you are blessed. In some ways, we here in the West, we have faith in God, and yet life is so easy in a sense. Go to India or go to other parts of the world. Go to Haiti. Wow. The kind of faith that really stands up is one that's based on the person of God, because that doesn't change, even though circumstances do. Thirdly, lessons about God. First of all, God is the sovereign ruler of the universe. He's in control of everything, and guess what? I'm not. You aren't either. But he's good. He is the benevolent, sovereign ruler of the universe. Secondly, even in the midst of trials, God is not on trial. I am. my faith, my commitment to him. That's really what's on trial when I'm being tested, when I am suffering. We talked about God in the Dock. Go read those essays by Lewis. They're really good. And then thirdly, regardless of the uncertainties and the pain of life, the person and the character of God never, ever changes. Even though your scenery changes, even though your pain level changes, God doesn't change. You can bank on that. And his grace and his love that never changes can be seen right in the person of Jesus Christ. The Lord is your shepherd. And though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you will fear no evil, because he is with you. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And even though it doesn't feel like it, it's still true. The book of Job, the issues of pain, are not so much about pain or knowing why. They are about God and his sovereignty and my trust in him and in his Son. And I hope you know that too. I hope you've enjoyed our time through the book of Job. I hope you're reading it. Go back and read it again. We'll continue our talk through wisdom literature Thursday.